Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatiruttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki krishnaya vasudevaya devaki nandanaya cha nandagopa kumaraya govindaya namo namaha. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today is a very auspicious day. Two special occasions: the disappearance day of Srinivas Acharya and also the day of Gopastami is being celebrated. And I'm very grateful to be amongst all of you this morning. Feel honored and humbled to be able to get this opportunity to share something from our literatures, the Gaudiya literatures. My obeisances to all the assembled devotees, Adi Purush Prabhu, all the senior devotees who are here this morning. It's also a very auspicious month of Kartik, filled with love and devotion. So I would like to share something on the pastimes of Krishna, which relate to Gopastami, and also a brief about Srinivas Acharya. The whole purpose of spiritual life at the end of the day is about experience. It really does not matter so much from the external sense whether Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead or not, or whether he is in his spiritual world with his Gopas, friends and Sakhis doing certain activities and so much. None of these things would matter if a person could not derive experience out of it or would not be able to participate in these pastimes. Philosophy by itself, it is knowledge. It can become dry over a period of time and it does not relish the heart. Therefore, in our Vedic literatures, the concept of relishing the truth is highlighted, especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam, that the nature of dharma or the nature of truth is such that it can be experienced by oneself, pratyaksha. And only when it becomes self-experiential, then it becomes susukham. It becomes it becomes truly enjoyable. Sukha, susukha. Sukha means enjoyable, and whenever there is a prefix of su which comes in those words, then it enhances whatever follows after that particular word. So the ultimate purpose of dharma, the ultimate purpose of all forms of religion, the ultimate purpose of all yagyas, activities, karmas, whatever we do is to finally experience. The Srimad Bhagavatam speaks this wonderfully by saying that all activities are ultimately meant to invoke love for Krishna. And if that does not happen, then it is just merely useless labor. Shrama eva hi kevala. So ultimately, it is all for the rati or the experiences. In spiritual life, the first information or knowledge we get is through the shabda or the word of authority, the word of people who have experienced the truth. So Srila Prabhupada often speaks about pratyaksha, shabda, and anuman being the three ways of understanding and experiencing the highest truth. So shabda is the word of authority. When a person who has realized and seen the truth, he reveals by his own experiences. Anuman is the process of inference, trying to indirectly perceive the presence of the Lord or the perceive the truth. And pratyaksha is the direct perception of the truth. All the three, they move in a like in a circle. Each one nourishes each other. So when we hear these beautiful pastimes of Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam and various other literatures, when we read about these pastimes and so on, when we visit these holy places and so on, when we look at the deities and so on, participate in kirtans and so on, ultimately all of this has to eventually lead to a platform where we can participate with Krishna directly. And that is what is called as pratyaksha praman, a direct perception of the truth. Till the time the truth does not become a direct perception, there will always be some kind of struggle because with the mind and senses. Why? Because it is the nature of the soul to always believe what it sees and hears. By the very nature, all of us living entities, we are bahir mukhi. Mukhi means face, bahir means outward. So the soul tends to see outward. It is not in the design of the conditioned living entity to look inwards. We are not antarmukhi. Antar means one who sees within the heart, one whose face, mind, and consciousness is driven towards the heart. That does not directly happen that way. So that is the struggle for a living entity. And because he is bahirmukhi or outward facing, the consciousness is outward from himself. Therefore, we need to use the senses and various faculties such as mind and intelligence to understand the truth in some manner through scriptures, through hearing things and trying to learn from authorities and so on. So that basically is called as the Shabda Praman. But it has to eventually lead that we start experiencing Krishna in some manner. So to facilitate this, after a person has understood that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, intellectually it has been resolved And then we resolve ourselves that our conditioned lives are meant to get attracted to Krishna. How do we actually get attracted to Krishna? And because to fulfill that particular desire or the condition, Krishna himself enacts many, many sweet pastimes in every single incarnation. And all these pastimes are sweet in the sense that they may not always be joyful, but they nourish the soul. They are very, very nourishing. So when we hear many Krishna's pastimes, his childhood pastimes are filled with so much thrill, fun, joy, mischief. His mid-age pastimes are filled with a lot of confusion, doubts, chaos, meetings, organizations, politics, and so on. And the later part of his pastimes, when Krishna withdraws from this world, they are filled with a lot of teachings, sayings, reflections, instructions, and also a lot of anguish and pain. Similarly, even in the pastimes of Mahaprabhu, all these features are there. But every aspect, every stage of their past lives is extremely nourishing and very, very sweet. And therefore, great personalities, they write about the details of their pastimes, so that hearing how they conducted their affairs, it increases some love and attraction in our own hearts, by which we start desiring that someday I too want to participate. I too want to have relations in such a manner. I want dynamics of my life in such a manner. If we would not hear these loving pastimes, then we would probably just consider our own conditions to be pretty much satisfying and okay, or the distorted kind of relations and attitudes which we all have or we go through. That would become the reference or the standard. And to disrupt this idea, Krishna enacts these pastimes with his pure devotees. And although it is relished by the pure devotees, this has been revealed by so many great personalities for the benefit of the conditioned souls. So, some of the childhood pastimes have taken place in this month of Kartik. One such day today is Gopastami, and some pastime had taken place. When you read Krishna Lila, you see how it was such a wonderful culture during the Vedic times. Even today, in some parts of India, this culture does exist. That every stage of the child's birth is celebrated with some yagyas, with some procedures, by doing some things, by inviting devotees, inviting sadhus, taking blessings, feeding of prasad, and so on, such as name giving ceremony, Chudakarna, the piercing of the ear holes, that ceremony, cutting of the hairs, the first writing of the child, the first time the child is taken out of the house and exposed to the five elements of nature, the wind, the sun, the moon, directly under the five elements. All these are celebrated. So these used to be a small celebrations in every single household. More so in the household of Krishna, where his father Nand Maharaj was supposedly the leader or the king of that small village. So although Nanda Maharaj was uh, relatively a king of a small town, but because the wealth those days was measured only with the number of cows, so he had a lot of cows, about 900,000. So that's not a small number. So uh, and all their discussions would be when all the seniors would meet together, their discussions would be about managing their resource. So today, just like the governments would all be sitting on the discussions of managing the movement of gold and dollars, or now bitcoins and so on, whatever, there's managing of resources. The discussions there would be all about cows, the health of the cows, the health of the quality of milk, the quantity of milk, and so on. And trying to see that those resources are very aptly used. So the cows also were worshipped so much. Naturally, there was a very loving bonding relation between all the Brajvasis with their domesticated animals, such as cows. So it is explained that when Krishna grew, he grew up seeing how cows are the center of attraction, and those who could herd the cows, they themselves were like the important people. So, cowherd boy or herding the cows was not an activity which anyone and everyone was allowed to do. It required, it also requires that the cows develop a special relation with the uh, person who is herding them. Because a happy cow, when the cow is going out happily, he comes happily, he's going to give good milk and so on. So these things today have become extremely impersonal, that it doesn't matter who is herding the cow, whether the cows are emotionally taken care of, at least in the major part of the society. By the grace of Prabhupada, some small centers, or even not just ISKCON, there are a couple of goshalas who in India who work that way to see that the cows are emotionally nourished, not just physically nourished. So, uh, so the task of herding the cows was also a very special task. So here on one such occasion, it is explained that as Krishna was growing in age, he started desiring that when will that day come when we will be given that opportunity to take the cows out from our own homes and we shall be responsible and so on. The same kind of thing which people do with dogs, or they have the desire to have their driving license, that excitement, in that same manner. Cow was the center of everything. It was the fruit of plunder. It was the fruit of acquisition. It was the gift which was given during marriages and ceremonies and charities. So it was a very prized possession. The activity was also very prized. So Krishna was desiring that I want to herd the cows. But Mother Yashoda, being uh, very attached to his little child, and we know mothers, when the child has to go for the first day to school by himself, so they have that emotional upsurge that, oh, my child is now going out of the house. This is going to become the beginning of him getting mature, and eventually he will no longer need me. So sometimes mothers also go through that emotion, very attached to having the child in one's lap. So Yashoda was not very much keen uh, to send Krishna. But Paurnamasi, one of the devotees there, a senior Brajvasi, she would tell Yashoda, you should let your son go. He needs to grow. Give him some responsibility. You are holding him back. Yashoda would say, no, no, he's such a small little child. He cannot do things by his own. But there are so many capable people, mature people. Why they should know? Let them go. We don't need to send Krishna. So she would repeatedly come and say, and many times sages would also say that your little child, Krishna, is not an ordinary child. Don't worry. There'll be no harm upon him. Leave him. Let him grow. Give him some responsibility. And so, because of a lot of pressure which was put on them, on Yashoda, then she finally agreed that, okay, on a day, on one particular day, we'll decide when he should go there. So they celebrated that particular day, that asking from the sages which should be the first day when Krishna should be given the responsibility of handling the cows. And it was collectively decided that we should do this on the day of Gopastami. So Krishna went with all the cows on this day of Gopastami to herd them. So it was done in a great celebration. So it is explained at one other on the incident, one more incident which happened on this particular day. That while Krishna was also herding the cows, and it is explained that how Krishna would perform different pastimes at different places during the day. So during the time at noon, uh, midday, he was at the banks of Radha Kund, which is at Govardhan Hill in Vrindavan. So while he was there, he started experiencing intense pain of separation from Srimati Radharani. And it became so much that looking at the waters of Radha Kund, he started contemplating that I need to meet her, I need to see her, otherwise I cannot survive, I cannot live anymore, and so on. So one of Krishna's cowherd boys, friends, Subal, who had also accompanied Krishna during that time, he sees Krishna's condition that he's so morose. He was so happy bringing the cows and taking them. Now suddenly he has become so morose. So he goes and asks Krishna, why are you so sad? What is it that is breaking your, keeping you distracted? You look so out of focus. What has happened to you? So Krishna says, I'm unable to bear the pain of separation from Srimati Radharani. Somehow or the other, someone please go and tell her that I need to meet her. So it is explained at that time, Radha also wanted to come and meet Krishna, but because she was uh, already married and her mother-in-law Jatila would not allow her to go anywhere outside the house without giving full details of where she's going. So Radharani, she made a garland and she handed it over to Vrinda Devi and told that please give this garland to Krishna. At least I cannot meet him, but at least pass on this garland. So Vrinda Devi is thinking, how should I get this garland reaching to Krishna? So she contacts Subal, the same friend who sees Krishna in deep separation of Radharani. So Vrinda Devi passes on the garland to reach Subal. Subal gives the garland to Krishna. And then after seeing the garland, Krishna is even more in the pain of separation. And then he tells to Subal that if I don't meet Radha today, I'm going to drown myself in the Yamuna river. So Subal is then bewildered. He thinks what to do. I should do something. So Krishna says, do whatever you can do, but you must bring Radharani here. So Subal, out of great emotional, it was kind of an emotional pressure which he had to accomplish to serve Krishna, his dear friend. So Subal goes and visits Radharani at her place at Yavat, and it is explained that she was so busy in the house, and Jatila was just sitting outside the house, the mother-in-law, who is coming, who is going, who is visiting, and so on. So Subal decides to do some trick. Along with him, he carries his a very small little calf, and then he makes the calf run inside the house of Srimati Radharani. And then he tells Jatila, the mother-in-law, that my calf has somehow disappeared here and there, but someone told me that calf has just entered your house. So village homes are bigger homes. They have all the doors are open from various sides and so on. Big backyard, big front yard. So Jatila had just finished her lunch and she was feeling very lazy to go herself inside the house and see where the calf has gone. So she did not do that, but Jatila told Subala that, why have you come here first of all? I have not seen any calf. But Subal insists that no, the other villagers have told me that the calf has gone inside. And therefore Jatila said, okay, no problem. You can go and check for the calf. It is explained in the scriptures that the complexion and the facial structure of Subala resembled that of Radharani. So and this pastime took place when Subal was about 12 and a half years of age. So on the occasion of Gopastami, on one of the occasions of Gopastami, many such pastimes took place. Krishna getting a choice to herd the cows was on the day of Gopastami, and then some other time this pastime happened. So Krishna, Subala, he approaches Radharani and tells that your garland has been delivered to Krishna, but he's in a very, very miserable state. You must somehow or other go. So Radharani says, how can I go? My mother-in-law is just sitting outside the house. She won't even allow me for a few minutes. She does not even like me even talking to Krishna, even amidst when we are amongst all of them. What to talk of if she knows that I have gone to meet Krishna alone? So it's very, very difficult. So Subala says that, look, both of us look quite similar in some sense, in the at least color complexion and on the side faces and the facial structure. So you do one thing. You take my clothes, my dhoti, my kurta, and I will wear your sari and I'll cover my face and sit here. And you go and take this scarf. So actually, as he goes inside the house, he finds his scarf, which he himself had sent. So it is explained wonderfully how Srimati Radharani then she dressed herself as a gopa, as a cowherd boy, and she carried the calf of Subal under her arms, and even without looking at Jatila, she says, "Thank you, my dear mother. I found my calf. I'm going now." And then Subal inside, who was like Radharani, dressed in a sari, covered his face, uh, and said to Subala, "My dear," said to her, basically it was Subal speaking to Radharani, but now he's enacting as if Radha is speaking to Subal. That, "My dear friend Subal, please come back soon. It was nice meeting you," and so on. So Jatila feels that, okay, this was just a very clean episode that way. And it's explained that when Srimati Radharani reaches Radha Kund, she is, because she has the turban and the dhoti kurta exactly like Subal, Krishna does not at that moment recognize him. Krishna says, "Where is Radharani?" So Radharani tries to increase the love and affection of Krishna and says to Krishna that, "Oh, I tried to fetch her, but Jatila was there and therefore she could not come. And she has just passed on the message that she cannot come." So Krishna says, "Oh, if that is the case, please pass on this message that I cannot live anymore. So I will commit suicide in the waters of Yamuna. I will drown myself." While saying that, when Radharani sees that Krishna is in deep separation, she comes and hugs Krishna. And immediately Krishna realizes that with that hug that this is my dear Srimati Radharani. So this day is celebrated in various ways in some temples in Vrindavan and so on, by serving the cows and also by showing the lotus feet of Radharani. In Vedic traditions, the feet of the mothers are generally covered through their saris. So also in the temples, you see the lotus feet of Krishna, but you never see the lotus feet of Radharani. So it is like on this occasion, the lotus feet of Radharani are shown because Radharani had worn dhoti of Subal, and in the dhoti you will definitely see the feet. So this pastime of Subal Milan, the meeting with Subal, actually it's not meeting with Subal, it's meeting with Krishna. It's meeting with Radharani. It happened on this day of Gopastami at the banks of Radhakund. This is one of the pastimes which happened on the day of Gopastami. Krishna's affection of cows was such that on another occasion, Krishna said, he insisted that I cannot, if I'm going to wear some shoes for myself, then the cows also need to wear some shoes. And he insisted, Nanda Maharaj, that we need to make shoes for all the cows. So it is also explained that for all the 900,000 cows, for each hoof they had made a kind of a shoe, something to put on the insistence of Krishna. So many such pastimes are there which take place in Vrindavan like this, in this manner. So today is that particular day we can absorb ourselves in some of these sweet pastimes like that. We have also heard the pastime of Vatsasur killing. Vatsasur was a calf demon who uh, was sent by Kamsa to disrupt the pastimes. So it is explained that that pastime also took somewhere during this day. One of the places it is mentioned that the killing of Vatsasur also happened uh, on the day of Gopastami. So when Vatsasur got to know that Krishna is now officially going to formally go out by himself, so he instructed one of his demons to take the form of a calf. So it is explained that when the demon came amidst all those calves, uh, he started emanating a stench, a smell, which was unusual amongst all the cows and calves which they had. So it is explained how Balram, at that point, all the cows and calves started maintaining distance from Vatsasur because of his weird kind of movement and unfamiliar walk, unfamiliar looks. They felt that this is something inauspicious. Krishna at that time, Balram at that time, he looked at Krishna and indicated with his eyes, look at this. This is something else. So Krishna looks, and then with a familiar look to Balram, as if indicating this is also a demon, they went to Vatsasur, and in the attempt of trying to play with them, they caught hold of Vatsasur's feet and swirled him around and killed him. So these pastimes also took place in Vrindavan during their childhood times while grazing the cows. So Gopashtami signifies so many such incidents which have taken place. Hare Krishna. So I think we have just 10 more minutes. I'll just brief about one more great Acharya uh, who comes in our Gaudiya line, uh, Srinivas Acharya. Today is also his disappearance day. In Gaudiya traditions, for that matter, even in Vedic traditions, the disappearance days are celebrated with more fervor, more devotion, and more veneration than appearances days, because when a person appears, his full glories are not yet known. It's only after the disappearance that the glories are revealed. Therefore, on this auspicious occasion, let us brief something about Srinivas Acharya for at least about 2 minutes. So Srinivas Acharya comes in the disciplic succession of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who is one of the 6 Goswamis, the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya actually never initiated any disciples, but he inspired many of them to take forward the missions. So it is explained that during Lord Chaitanya's time, there was another devotee called Gangadhar Bhattacharya, who used to be there uh, staying in Navadvip, nearby those places near the Navadvip. And when Mahaprabhu, at some point, he had decided to take sannyas. So we all have seen before taking sannyas, Mahaprabhu had long hair and he looked very attractive as a personality. And there is a pastime of how when Mahaprabhu cut his hair, how it broke the heart of so many devotees, that now no longer he's going to be that informal, loving person who was just moving around us, singing kirtans, arguing with people on debate. He could sit with us, talk with us. Now he's formally taking sannyas, and once he formally takes sannyas, he's going to be treated with awe and reverence and veneration. He's going to have all calculations of how he behaves, how he talks, how other deals with him. This particular thought that they are going to lose the personal interactions with Mahaprabhu broke the heart of many devotees. Just the removal of the hair was unacceptable to people. So at that time, one of his devotees, Gangadhar Bhattacharya, he experienced extreme pain in his heart and he started crying out, Ha Chaitanya, Ha Chaitanya, Ha Chaitanya. And because of this, for many, many days and weeks, all he would do is just cry out Chaitanya's name. Why are you no longer amongst us? And he became the villagers, the town people of Navadvip and other places, Katwa, etc., they started calling him as Chaitanya Das as a nickname. That this person has gone crazy out of his affection. That move on, he has taken sannyas. So Gangadhar had so much love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. At one point of time, after Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he desired to have a son for himself. So Gangadhar met his wife Lakshmi Priya and said that I desire to have a son who can be a great devotee of the Lord and who can serve Lord Chaitanya. That was his desire in his heart. So he goes, at that time Mahaprabhu had already taken sannyas and he had shifted to Jagannath Puri from Navadvip. So they go all the way. They decided that before we procreate or engage in the act of procreation, let us take blessings of Mahaprabhu. Let us see what he has to say. So they go and meet Mahaprabhu at Jagannath Puri. So Lord Chaitanya is with his disciples, his servant Govinda, and so many others. And he's thinking, others are wondering that why has this crazy person come to Jagannath Puri? Crazy in the sense that he had so much love and he has come like this with his wife. Mahaprabhu instantly recognized. He told his servant Govinda that they are desiring a child and they want to meet him. So they want to meet me. So Mahaprabhu told Govind that go and fetch this wonderful couple. And before even they would say anything, Mahaprabhu said, you will be blessed with a son and he will be a great devotee of mine. Don't worry, go ahead. And he blessed them. And with that blessing, both this couple, they were overjoyed. And then later Srinivas Acharya was born. This name Srinivas was also given by Lord Chaitanya himself during that time, that he is going to be a great devotee and his name, he will be known as Srinivas Acharya. So naturally with this blessing, he came with so much of love and other things in his heart. It is explained that Srinivas Acharya learned kirtan and other things from his mother while he learned aspects of Vedic literatures, the Srimad Bhagavatam and other things from his father himself. And he and his father would have lots and lots of ecstatic narrations and discussions. The father would enjoy speaking the same pastimes again and again, and Srinivas Acharya would enjoy hearing them again and again. So at one point of time, as Srinivas Acharya was growing, he heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is planning to withdraw his earthly pastimes because Mahaprabhu's condition was worsening day by day in separation for Krishna. He could not tolerate his life anymore. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially the episodes of Mahaprabhu's condition in Jagannath Puri, it is extremely, extremely heartbreaking. Out of the 48 years of his life, the final 24 years, they were all at Jagannath Puri, and the last 8 years he never ever left the town of Puri. He was just at Kashi Mishra's house at Gambhira. Every day and night crying in separation, scratching the walls, writing the names of Krishna, banging his head. And his own disciples had actually locked him in the house, understanding that if you thinking that if we give Mahaprabhu any little freedom, he will drown himself, he'll kill himself, he'll go mad. Because everything was reminding him for Krishna, reminding about Krishna. If he saw dust, he would think this is dust of Vrindavan. If he saw a small hill, he would think this is Govardhan. He saw curls of hair on someone, that would remind him of Krishna. He saw any water body that would remind him of Yamuna, and he would just keep crying and crying and crying. So that news spread amongst many of his followers and the devotees there, and it reached it reached Srinivas Acharya. So Srinivas Acharya desired that I want to go and meet Mahaprabhu before he withdraws his earthly pastimes. So Srinivas Acharya went all the way from from Navadvip and walked till Jagannath Puri. And it is explained that just before he reached Jagannath Puri, the news came to him that Mahaprabhu has left this world. Hearing this, his heart was shattered and broken to pieces. So Srinivas Acharya then he decided to um, end his life. But then at that point of time, one of the intimate associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Gadadhar Pandit, he saw this condition of Srinivas Acharya and he gave him some solace and somehow persuaded him not to do so. And he gave him blessings. They discussed Srimad Bhagavatam and so on, and told that just carry this message, uh, this feeling which you have, live with it, spread the message of Lord Chaitanya and go back. So from there, Srinivas Acharya desired that I'll go to Vrindavan, I'll go to Allahabad, I'll go to Prayag and all these other places where Mahaprabhu had enacted some pastimes. So it is explained from there he goes to Vrindavan. And when he goes to Vrindavan, there he comes to know that Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, they have also given up their lives. So after facing the pain of separation of Mahaprabhu, he reaches there and finds out that they have given up their lives. So he is heartbroken. But there, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami were still living. So they give the scriptures which were written by Rupa Goswami and other literatures, and they entrust him with this responsibility that now we have so much divine literature written, you go and distribute this work. So it's explained from there, he carries this literature and comes to Puri. And while he comes to Puri, he comes to know that another tragedy has struck, that Nityanand Prabhu and Advaita Acharya both also have left this world. So it's a very painful journey which Srinivas Acharya had. It's just a pain service in separation, that wherever he tried to meet, uh, just a couple of days before, all the acharyas, all the devotees whom he was living for, aspiring to serve, they had all left this planet, and all he was left with the works, the writings of theirs. And so he, after those works were entrusted on him, he took that responsibility and started distributing the literature. So the literatures which we have today are because Srinivas Acharya took that pain to uh, collect it, to disseminate it, distribute it amongst the common masses. So often in ISKCON, we call it that was the first Sankirtan distribution which was organized. Narhari Sarkar, Srinivas Acharya, and so on, in that manner. So let us also offer our humble obeisances to such great Vaishnavacharyas who have kept up, lived in the greatest of their character, maintained their dignity throughout their life, maintained their integrity throughout their life, despite the absence of their own inspiring spiritual masters. And just for the sake of common masses, they carried the word, one instruction of their gurus. just for the sake of uplifting the mankind. Srinivas Acharya ki jai. Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki jai. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Jagannath Priya Prabhu.
Hare Bol.
Devotees, Jiv Jago, Darshan time. Nandini Radhika ki jai.
Sorry, we fell short of time today. Anand Bihari Prabhu.
Yeah, we understand that you have transcended time and regulation. No problem.
Bhagavatam samasitam burasundarangam Kandarpakoti kamaniya Priya Pritimanti Pasyanti Pikayanti Shiram Jaganti Anadavachumaya Sadhu Kalavrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Maham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Maham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Maham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham.
Bhakti Center, Janitai Prabhu, thank you very much. Can you show us Srila Prabhupada, please?
I am. I don't know. You changed something.
Let's see.
Video got turned off somehow.
Thank you.
Wishes to have my consciousness purified by the word emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment totally the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my lower birth after birth, and from an ecstatic flame I am, and my ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the world. We take shelter at your lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada.
Thank you, Janitai Prabhu. Arjuna Prabhu ki jai. Welcome to the Afterglow. Would anyone like to share anything? Life without Prashanam, without devotees association, without kirtan is a nightmare. Right? That's my takeaway.
I'd like to share, please.
Okay, Mitravinda Devidasi, please.
Hare Krishna, happy Gopastami to everyone here and all over the world. I was particularly inspired when Prabhu spoke about Srimati Radharani lifting and carrying the calf. We know that she is beautiful and sweet and so many other things. She's also very strong because anyone who can lift a calf has to be strong. So I just wanted to add that, living at Gitanagri as a cowherd girl for years, it just really made my heart smile to have that spoken of about her. Thank you. Happy Gopashtami.
You ever tried lifting a calf, Mitravinda?
I have lifted a calf, and I have also baled hay and lifted a 50-pound bag of grain before milking and put it on my shoulder. So I'm only 5 feet, but cowherd girls are strong and useful.
Nice. Nice. Sweet. Thank you, Mitravinda Didi. This is a gopi. Carrot girl in this call, dear devotees. Okay. And then, how was the party yesterday?
Morning, Hare Krishna. Oh, I didn't want to leave. It was really blissful and it was so sweet, and I wasn't sure what to expect. But it was like the most amazing thing, and I'm so grateful that Benya Madhuri took me there, and Adi Prusha's presence. It's pretty remarkable. And I'm sorry that I missed you guys, because he told us that you're just there.
Yeah. We wanted to stay for you, but Ram got a little cranky.
Okay.
And peevish, and we had to leave.
Yeah, hopefully I'll see you in person and your family. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, but you need to appoint somebody who will answer your question. Oh, Bhima Prabhu is here. Okay. Bhima Prabhu will answer. Bhima Prabhu, please.
We had heard in the class that he had mentioned earlier in the class that jiva's condition or nature is to look outward, and there's a need for the soul to look inward, turn inward. And I was wondering, because we heard such a beautiful Krishna Lila, what is that process of turning inward by hearing Krishna Lila?
Beautiful question. Bhima Kaviraj.
Paula just waved her hand at me and said, pass the question on. Pass it on. Yeah. So, yeah, I feel that way. That's what it's all about. That's what everything is all about, everything that we do. And this is why we do all the things we do outwardly, because ultimately what we're doing outwardly, Paul and I watched Pushpa Abhishek in Mumbai, Radhanath Maharaj's home temple, and which Paula had never seen this before, believe it or not. And the deities dressed in flowers, and the devotees all gathered together, from doctors to street cleaners, all gathered in circles, pulling petals off of flowers, tons. I guess they get up over a ton of flower petals. And we're watching that, and we felt within ourselves the beauty of the love of Krishna and the beauty of the devotees trying to reciprocate that love. It was a feeling, and it was from within, but it happened during a festival that everything was from without. All the senses were engaged. The sense of the nose for the flowers, the sense of the eyes for the color, the sense of the camaraderie amongst devotees all working together, the sense of duty, the sense of work, because everybody was working. It's a lot of hours pulling those petals off to have that flower festival. But what happens is that you go within. You have to go within to find that love, to do that, to make that expression. Ours is the duty to express the love that Krishna has for us to the rest of the world. We are the medium. Prabhupada is the medium. He's a transparent via media. Here is Krishna. Look. So that's the within process. That's that simultaneous process of doing so much devotional service without. And then, of course, you can't get lost. Krishna takes away, and I'll just finish this very quickly. There was a young Indian lady who used to do almost all the garlands for the Boston Temple. And she would be up until 2 a.m. in the morning because people who would help her, this is in the city, would come and go and everything like that. But ultimately, if someone didn't show, she had Lord Jagannath's flower garland plus Subhadra's plus Prabhupada's plus Radha Gopi Vallabha, or etc. And she had a new temple president came on and said, your duty is no longer doing these flowers. And she was devastated because her particular type of service was taken away because she reveled in it. She lost herself in it, and she thought it was her samadhi. And Lord knows, as we all know, when you're spending hours at something, you're going to touch samadhi. That samadhi is going within. And so she had that yanked from her, and she had to have another service. Now, the whole thing was that's the Lord saying it's not about what you're doing externally. It's what's happening within. And so ultimately the priority is within, and the fruit of what happens within us is expressed outwardly, as in a flower festival. So let us not forget that even though we're running around and visiting devotees and seeing their service and talking and laughing, that this is all part of that inward service. I have to go within to go from the countryside and into New York City in Manhattan and literally get a culture shock every time I do it. But guess what? I'm more Krishna conscious within New York City around the devotees than I am alone in all Krishna's beautiful creation. So let us not forget that these.
I thought you were going to tell your jail story, Bhima Prabhu, how you got jailed without access to Prashanam and you started honoring Prashanam inwardly.
I'll try to make this quick. I definitely don't want to ramble on, but when we were out, it was a Friday of a very heavy, I think it was Bhima Ekadasi, believe it or not, the one where you, if you just do this Ekadasi, you don't have to worry about the rest. I was down for that. You know what I mean? I was down for that. No water, just this one day, and then I don't have to worry about when everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Ekadasi. We got to eat almond cookies." But the Aniruddha and myself were traveling, and we were. Oh Jesus, I'm going to try to shorten it. Boom, 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 boom. We were fasting that day, and at the end of the day, we were selling, rock and roll hats at a rock and roll event in Texas. The next thing we know, because we didn't have permits to do that, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were selling hats, and we ended up in a jail. And the guys knew who we were, the police or the sheriff department. They knew who we were because we were shaved up. We had just come from a festival. We were fasting, and that was on a Friday. And during that time, to mock us, they would, because we were in for the weekend, because the magistrate doesn't show up until Monday. So it was all day Friday, and then into Saturday, and then into Sunday, where they would only serve us bologna. And when we asked for milk, they would take the bologna, roll it up, and put it in the milk. And of course, being young brahmacharis and very very attached to never touching meat of any type, because it's a, very serious offense, so to speak. That's where we were at that time. We didn't eat. And then, like on Sunday when we were dying, we were young men, and we hadn't eaten a thing, except water. Aniruddha said, and it wasn't me, it was Aniruddha who said, you know what? Let's prepare a big feast. And we were in this cell that had 40 prisoners in it. This is in Texas. This is Texas jail. Hari Krishna, and we had two bunks, and we just sat on the edge of one bunk, and we started like pretending we had chapatis cooking over a fire over our Coleman stove, which is what we did when we were on the road in a van. We were cooking chapatis. We were making dal. At one point in time, because I was given chapati duty on my burner, I had spaced out a bit, and Aniruddha looked over at me and says, "You're burning the chapatis." And I was like, oh, shoot, like that. And I said, I'll eat that one. And I set it aside. This was all happening in our imagination, in our vision, in our prayer, in our offering. And we cooked the whole feast. And the other prisoners were looking at us like, the reason why these guys are in here, because they're obviously both crazy. And we cooked the big feast, and then we ate it, one bite at a time. I mean, because we were starving, and we closed our eyes, and it's pretty easy to remember what prasadam tastes like. And then we ate, and then the next day on Monday we saw and we ate, and at the end I looked at Aniruddha. I said, I feel full. And he goes, dude, he's Prabhu. We didn't say dude. We were almost in the dude Prabhu stage. They're like, Prabhu, man, I feel, actually we said, dude, dude, I'm stuffed too. I couldn't eat a thing. And the next day we saw the magistrate, and we were released with, like, I think it was $250. We spent the whole thing, in lieu of spending the whole weekend in jail, I waived the $250 fine. Be gone. And then we left. We went back to the van thinking we were going to be famished and just like launch into all the food that was sitting in the cooler all weekend long. And we didn't. We were like, I'm totally satisfied. And that never left me, because, sometimes you get these little ruchi tastes. Prasad is always coming at us. The mercy is always there if we're willing to take it. And you can take it outwardly by running to Adi's prasadam distribution, or running to the Bhakti Center, or cooking it at home. That mercy is always there, or thinking of it in your mind, which is going within. We didn't have a choice. We had to go within. Okay. All right. Anyways, my wife says I'm talking too much. I should cut it. Thank God for close devotees. Hare Krishna.
Always your Paramatma.
Yes, she is.
Great. Thank you. Maturnath Prabhu.
I hope you can hear me. I'm driving through a bad reception area. But Bhima, thanks for that story. It's very faith increasing. It reminds me of the pastime of that. I think it was just described as a Brahmin who was cooking sweet rice internally, and he was wondering if the sweet rice had cooled down enough before he offered it one day, and he touched it, and then he came out of his meditation because he burned his finger when he touched it. Yeah, it's pretty far out. So you guys had a similar experience. Krishna's there, available for all of us, and when we dive deep in our meditation on him. I just wanted to also respond to that question about Krishna Lila. And as we come out of anartha nivritti, and we start to be able to become steady in devotional service. Hearing the Leelas really brings us, if we're really going into hearing and also trying to feel out what everyone was feeling in the Leelas, then we start to also awaken feelings in our heart. And so the next step after being steady is we have attachment. So we want to try to hear the Leelas, so we start to become attached to Krishna and to his devotees and to his Goloka Vrindavan. And then once that attachment comes, then the emotions and the feelings start to awaken in the heart. So we can hear the Leelas, and we can really be praying to Krishna, please let me become attached to you, attached to your Leelas. Let me become unmotivated, uninterrupted in thinking of you and hearing your Leelas.
Thank you very much, Matonda Prabhu. Ahoituki apatiyata. Unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service. Adipusha Prabhu. Is Srila Prabhupada inspiring you to speak? Nice hat.
Krishna is so kind. Nice to hear these pastimes. I don't have a whole lot to contribute, just appreciation. Thank you, Hare Krishna, glories to Prabhupada.
Adipusha Prabhu. I'm reminded of what Vaisheshika Prabhu often says. He says, where attention is our only asset, and when we give our attention to Krishna, that's going within. Just give your attention to Krishna, that's considered going inward, within. Where your attention goes, that's where you're heading. Okay. So Rob Prabhu is sending us a flying heart. Thank you for that. We caught it. We need it. Okay, Karen, please.
Did they talk about in the class how it's Gopastami? I was at the temple.
Yeah, Mitra Vinda said happy Gopashtami. Yeah, we got that covered. Thanks to Mitra Vinda Devi. Thank you very much. Okay, Karen, please unleash Isaiah and Annabelle. Let them chant as loud as they can.
They just went upstairs.
Wow, that's a heavy Akashvani.
Sorry. I just sent them upstairs. We were just about to leave.
Oh, that your side.
Okay.
Proudly,
Not as
like a child, childlike recitation.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Sweet.
So that's where her kids get it from.
That's right. Okay, Hare Krishna. Happy Wednesday. We love you and we need you. Come again tomorrow. Thank you for your association. Hare Krishna.